Hello, beautiful souls. Victoria Amador here from Soul Healing Tribe and the Awakening the Healer Within Training Program.com. And today we're going to continue with the Wounded Healer in series. So today is going to be the Wounded Healer in Libra in the 7th house. And if you haven't seen the introduction to the series, I recommend that you do that so that you can have a better understanding. What is the mythology of the Wounded Healer, Chiron, the Wounded Healer? Why is it important for us, especially if you walk in this spiritual path and want to become a healer? And what does it mean in terms of the different houses? So we spent some time discussing that in the first couple of videos. So in this specific video, in this podcast, we're going to be speaking about just Chiron in Libra, the Wounded Healer in Libra in the 7th house. And when you think about Libra, the deep wounds of Libra are feeling incomplete. So that wounds of feeling incomplete, that is the best word for it. Looking for the other half that you just don't know where it is. You don't feel it within you because you feel incomplete. You don't feel whole. Normally, people think it's because someone outside of them needs to come into the picture and they don't realize it's them. So you might also experience wounds of losing yourself in relationships because you want to give so much in order for those people not to leave you. So there is also the wounds of rejection, abandonment, just missing the other half. And we're going to go deeper into what does that look like for a lot of people that have the wounded healer in Libra, or just Libra in general, because the Libras carry these issues. Just when it's part of your wounded healer, it's going to be amplified to the point where you might be a Scorpio, you may be a Pisces, but if you have Chiron in Libra, that means you're going to have these issues that Libras have, right? And it's going to be something that you have carried for multiple lives. So you really need to work on this in order for you to feel better. So keep that in mind as we continue going over this conversation. And we're going to be speaking here about things that you probably haven't heard in other videos. So if you are carrying Libra, you definitely want to stick around and see if anything resonates, because it's going to be mind-blowing. So when you think about the Chiron or the Wounded Healer, it shows our deepest pain and suffering. And because it does that, it feels like it's deep within your bones, within your DNA. And it feels like it's never going to end. So it brings a lot of hopelessness, feelings of whatever it is that you're dealing with your Wounded Healer. In this case, it's relationship, partnership, marriage, business partners. Those things are going to be amplified to the point where you may have a lot of distortions when it comes to these relationships with yourself and others. So not only with others, but with yourself, right? That suffering, that pain that you feel so deeply that you don't think it can never get better. So, you're going to have to do a lot of contemplation and reflection in your life in order to understand where this is coming from, if you're going to do it alone, because a lot of the times people don't realize that some things they do need someone else to assist you with, just so that you can speed up the healing process. So as you keep that in mind, in this video, I want to focus on some of the programming. Where does it come from? Aha moments that some of my clients have gone through after doing some of their healing sessions, and some things are just mind-blowing. Like, you can never imagine this unless you're listening to videos like this one, where you're like, oh my God, is this possible? So it's going to blow your mind. So when you think about the programming of feeling incomplete, missing the other part of yourself, the soulmate or the twin flame or your partner or your twin, whatever you may call it, divine twins, sometimes you can even be missing the other half, and it's because you are missing a divine twin. And we're going to go over that a little deeply as we continue this conversation, because that's definitely one of the major keys that I want to address in this video, the divine twin. and what does it mean for you if you have Libra placements, where if your Chiron is in the Libra placements, where you have really suffered throughout multiple lifetimes with these issues. And this is something that your soul decided to experience in order to heal it. So let's keep that in mind. So when you consider the healing abilities also that you bring, keep in mind all the pain and suffering that you experience as having Chiron placement in Libra. So anything that you can do for others is going to be the things that you have suffered with the most. And the hardest it is, the more power there is there for you to assist others. So let's keep that in mind as you listen to this video. So let's start with the, where do I want to start? Let's start with let me give you an example of a client that this client had a lot of issues. She was married, very, okay, married, like happily married, but there was always something that she was missing and she didn't know what it was. And throughout her sessions, we find out that before she incarnated, there was a spark that she divided in half. Meaning, at that moment, we go through life between lives, through the beginning, the origin of this pain, this suffering, and she goes into between realms before coming here as my client. And she realizes that in that moment, she was being split in two. She didn't think she could do it, but eventually she splits in two. And in that moment, there are two of them that are one, but two now. And it keeps multiplying. But that moment of separation where it splitted, the soul splitted, it created a lot of issues of separation and feeling incomplete. When we go in between realms, she also experiences another energy that it was her male, like the male twin soulmate. So she was a female version and he was a masculine version. And when she incarnated here, she had to leave him. He wasn't allowed to come. He had another project to attend to. And that separation created so many issues for this soul in this life, always feeling, and she had Libra placement, always feeling like no matter how happy she was, there was always something missing. In another case, something similar happened, but in this case, the twin soul, the soulmate, or however you want to call it, the divine twin, came through the womb to basically like hold hands onto the person. The soul was sitting in the fetus, inside the little fetus, to become part of this experience. And then it left. And that left so many wounds. So that was what started my journey with doing a lot of wound regression and really understanding energy, what happens in the womb, and why the womb was so important to work through in a very thorough session so that the person can separate and say goodbye. Because the moment that they say goodbye properly, it's almost like, okay, now I can have this experience because I didn't leave without saying goodbye. They know I'm coming back. I know why this is happening. They will be able to exchange energy and say goodbye properly. Just like when somebody dies and you say goodbye, it's easier for you than if you don't say goodbye and you have a lot of guilt or a resentment and anger about not being able to say goodbye. So same thing happens when there are multiple souls in the womb, but only one makes it through the whole process. And the other one was just there to basically hold your hand so that you don't feel lonely. But at the same time, that is also a programming that says, I'm going to go with you because you need to overcome this issue. But they have to do it themselves, but they make it through enough in the womb just so that they don't feel lonely. But at the same time, that can also be a programming because it's something that you have to overcome. So just having that energy of someone else being with you and then missing that energy is probably definitely the wounded healer energy of Libra, saying you're going to have to overcome this, and I'm going to go with you so that you can feel what it feels like when I'm there, and then you can feel what it feels like when I'm not there, so that you can overcome it by yourself, right? A lot of things. I know this may sound a little crazy, a little complicated, but it really is what happens when you go through the wound regression. A lot of these things are happening, and people are the souls are having their own very unique experiences. And when they have to say goodbye, or when one of them leaves or dies, it creates a lot of trauma for the other soul that is left behind. And with another client, what happened was that when this male had another one there with him in the belly, while he was in the belly, and the other one left. The other one was left, that he left. And when he left, though, the soul left, but the part that became animated, the spirit, that, because we all know that we have the soul and the spirit, and I don't want to confuse anyone, but when you think about this, the soul went back to source, and the other part left an imprint of an energy, just like we talked about when we create energies, astral energies that are fragmentation of what we experience, right? And if you haven't seen that conversation, you might want to tap into that so that you can understand what I'm talking about. But when we are separating from the soul, the other part of us, the spirit, may stay around. And what happened was, because this energy was suffering so much for the other one that left, that other energy was continuing to stay as if it was a spirit, and it grew with him to the point where he was always with him, and it was almost like having a shadow or a ghost or something, but it was something that was already gone many years ago. And the soul decided to go back to source, but the little spirit continued to grow with him, and it became just like a twin energy, but not in the physical. So this created a lot of issues, because this person definitely, this person is a Libra and wounded healer in Libra. Can you imagine that? Anyways, this energy that was supposed to be completely gone back to source left that imprint that continued to grow with the other person. And it was something that the other person always had to be with someone, because he felt like he was always, it was too devastating to be alone. So when he was with other people, that other people will feel that hole of feeling incomplete. So this is, I know it can seem far-fetched, but trust me, when you start going deeper into how energy works, this is just like, yeah, okay, that makes total sense. So when you understand this, and you understand what happens with a Libra that has a wounded healer in Libra, you can understand why they always feel so like there is something missing. There is a part of them that is missing, and they're always seeking that in many other people. They're always looking for friends, partners, someone to be with them, right? So it definitely is a wound that is so deep within you, and you just don't know that the other half that you're seeking is yourself. And that takes a process to get there. And part of the healing process is to do the wound regression, to do in between life sessions, in order for you to heal those parts that are saying, I am still missing you. I am still needing to say goodbye. I still need to talk to you. I'm being able to unite that part that is left behind in other experiences too. And sometimes it's left behind before incarnated even. So a lot of things to do here when you have the wounded healer in Libra. Like if you think about, let's talk a little bit more about like the mythology of Libra, because I think there will be some clues there that if you're really good with understanding metaphors and why it's important to understand these things, it's also going to help you understand the issues that Libra brings when you think about some of the mythology. Like one of the programmings I think is that even in Babylonian time, Libra was known, it doesn't have like a god goddess necessarily associated with it, right? It had the scales, but back in Babylonian time, it was the claws of the scorpion. And we all know that the Scorpio constellation has a lot of dark, transformative, like death energy, where people sometimes I don't even want it, like they just think Scorpios are crazy and can be very out there, right? So the claws of the scorpion in this case was used to represent the balance, the scales, the karma, right? So when you think about, and then later on, I think is when they started using Virgo as the one that holds the scales of Libra to represent Libra, because it didn't really have a god goddess directly attached to it. But back in Babylonian time, the god that was associated with Libra was the sun god Utu, UTU, I think it was the name. And he was a divine judge, right? Associated with also the underworld, where it was known as the process of purification and transformation, which is why it was associated also with Scorpio, and known as the claws of Scorpion, because of the transformation process that happens when you have to balance the scales. So if you're balancing the scales, you are balancing karma, and you are constantly in this process of balancing and purification. You also have to know how to integrate the other part of you that is missing, and sometimes that can be very hard. And for you to do that, you have to go through transformation processes. You have to go through a lot of understanding of deep philosophy of the creation of the universe. You have to understand like the fairness and moral and ethics of what it means to be in this creation here now, and social behaviors and so on. So later on in Greek mythology, and I'm sorry if you can hear that crazy noise, but back in Greek mythology, I think it was Dike who was associated more so with justice and that balance, which is then known to be associated with Libra, right? And understanding the moral order of the universe and what is fair and what isn't, like how to judge what is and what isn't, and all of that. So anyways, when we go in through this process of understanding what it means for Libra to understand how to balance the scales and do it in a way that they can also find themselves, can be very tricky, because they have to take a lot of things into consideration. So a lot of these people tend to be very old souls, but because they're old soul, they also bring a lot of energy of play, having fun. Like they have a desire because they know better. But sometimes if they're not in balance, they can feel like aloof, like I don't even want to deal with this because it's not what's the point, right? So you have that ability to be in the middle of the scales. But if you're not, then you're going to feel too much fun or not enough, where you may feel depressed, or you may feel like life is just a joke. So finding that balance is key for those that have the Libra, the wounded healer in Libra, or just Libra in general, right? So these people tend to have a lot of, they're really good humanitarians. They can be very good humanitarians, but sometimes they may, I don't want to spend too much time on that, because I think we're here for the spiritual stuff. So back at the beginning, when you think about the beginning of Libra, and you think about Astrea, the goddess Astrea, and she was around in the golden ages, where everything was just beautiful and holistic and harmony, just peaceful, a lot of stability. And how I associate her more with Libra because of that, because she had the beauty, the grace, everything was just perfect, like everything was paradise. And then comes greed and war and suffering, imbalance, and she leaves and she says, I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back and I'm going to bring order. So I think of Libras as that goddess, where she is having stability, having harmony. She's beautiful. Like if you look at Libras, most of the Libras are beautiful people. So I don't think I ever met a Libra that is physically ugly. Like they just have something about them that is just charming and just beautiful and graceful, and they have a calmness to them, and they have a lot of wisdom that sometimes that you don't even know that is wisdom because you think that they're joking with you. And anyways, they just have that grace within them. But then when all the things that are low vibration start coming, she leaves and she says, I'm going to come back. And that's when we go through the different silver, bronze, the different ages, right? So you think about Libra and you think about the polarities. They understand very well the polarities, and they can be in either one of those polarities, and they can choose to move through that balance at any time. So those in Libra are going to always be trying to seek peace and harmony because it's part of their programming to seek that. So when they don't have the peace and harmony, they're going to feel like something is very wrong. Yeah. And if you think about Libra, what it means I think it's in Latin, it means wife. So when you think about the energy of Libra, a feminine energy, seeking that feminine energy, so they will have that desire to unite the feminine with the masculine within them, but they might not know that's what they're missing. So they don't know how to get that. And that's why they need assistance for, this is probably one of the signs that definitely need a third party assistance in order for them to do real work, because otherwise it's just, they can get very easily confused with how to overcome some of the challenges about finding the right love, the right partner, or whatever it may be, right? So these people with Libra, they might have a lot of ego issues where, you know, you lose yourself in relationships because you, deep down, you have a lot of fears of rejection and abandonment, and you don't know that is hidden from you, and a lot of your powers are going to be hidden from you. So you're going to give your power away to prevent from the rejection and the abandonment. And that's because you don't even know that you're doing that. You know, like unconsciously, a lot of the Libras are going to be also a little afraid of success. What happens if they're too successful? Because, you know, the polarities, if being afraid of failure or success, and they have to fight that constantly. So when I think about Libra, I'm thinking about the left and the right brain and how to bring those into balance. And, you know, we can go into the Kabbalah and all of that, but I don't think we're going to have time for that, because I think I spend too much time trying to say what I'm just talking nonsense right now, I think. Anyway, so, but yeah, if you study the Kabbalah and you think about the right column and the left column and what does it mean, the left knowledge, the right wisdom, the left wisdom, the right understanding, and you're thinking like, okay, how do I unite those? How do I unite? Because when I unite those, the wisdom and the understanding, knowledge and understanding, right, you're also going to bring in everything else that is born from that: beauty, mercy, power, strength. So anyway, so you can study that on your own. But if you really want to work through those things, you're going to have to do a lot of shadow work to understand what part of you feels like something is missing. And when you do the healing work, most of the time you're going to go back to the womb. You're going to have to go back to the womb. Or even in childhood, if you lost a twin or a brother sibling that really resonated with your soul, it's going to be something that is going to traumatize you for the rest of your life. Or if you go back into the womb, the person has to know how to guide you through the process so that you can really see everything from a different perspective. And sometimes even before that, in between lives, or back as possible to the origin of the wounded healer placement, so that you can really understand what happened with you, because it could be from many different lifetimes where this is happening. And you might not even have a divine twin in the belly where you were born, but it might be something that really happened in many different other lifetimes. And here now, when you were being born, you still miss that other part. So everything gets registered at the soul level, and it gets reactivated when you go through the experience. So if you're going through the womb and you're receiving information from everything that happens in other lifetimes, it's the same, even if there isn't a half of you there. You're going to feel like there was a half of you there. So anyways, I hopefully that makes sense. So when you think about the healing abilities, think about all the things that you have suffered, looking for the other person, looking to bring imbalance into your right, the left brain, the feminine, the masculine energy, thinking about the relationships, how you have given yourself to other relationships that you have lost yourself in it. So when you think about your superpowers, also a lot of these people are very good with mental magic. Like this is one of the major powers that Libras have. They have a lot of mental magic power. They can do magic just by thinking, by contemplating and focusing, meditating. So a lot of you are going to be really good mesmerizers. Like you are going to be similar to like the snake charmers. You can do that. You also bring a lot of angelic energies with you. So your job is going to be how to help others balance not only karma, but understand energy deeply, to the point where you can help others become really good with mental magic as well. These people tend to be very good artists, politicians, healers in general. Like they're very spiritual gifted. They're very good business people because they're very good. They're very diplomatic. They can be very, very diplomatic. They know how to make you feel special if they like you. So politicians definitely is one of your being diplomatic, whether it is in politician or whatever, but also a great shaman because you have a greater understanding of energy that some other people might not be able to match what you can do, because you can do soul alignment at a very deep level. It's definitely one of your top skills, and discernment is also one of your top skills. So you may be attracting energies with, it doesn't matter which polarity you may be on, like are you on the yin and yang, and whatever you're working on, you're going to be able to work with those energies very powerful, because you can be in between those and in any of those. So when you're working through healing others, you also can be fighting for others that don't have a voice, animals, plants, nature, and so on. And also you could be very good at womb healing because you have a deeper, greater understanding, as well as in between life healer, like really helping others understand what they did in between lives before coming here, and how to bring that power forward so that instead of becoming a problem, it's a strength. So I'm going to leave it here because I think this video was so long. It was too long, but I hope you got something out of it, because I really had a lot of ahas when I tried to tap into this energy of the Wonder Healer in Libra. So I'll see you guys in the next one. If you like this video, definitely leave a comment too for others to understand about your superpowers and so on. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.